Nevermore Hollows, Psychos. This is Lafayette Faust. And with me today, I have Chris, Madman Goins.
Hello.
And it occurred to me that over the past, I don't know, few months, year or so, you've heard some of Chris's paranormal stories. You've heard his voice work on some of the shows and characters, and you've heard him as I've interviewed some other folks. But I got a question, wondering why we've never officially introduced you. So, Chris, who the hell is Madman?
I'm a myth, or maybe a mythster. But no, I'm just some regular dude who likes to draw monsters.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good answer. All right, so um, you have been an artist pretty much your whole life.
Yeah, according to my mother, since I was two, and
Nice.
I drew on her walls in pencil, and then she erased it. So the next day I drew it in pen. Uh,
So you have a studio, right?
I do.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your studio.
Um, my studio is called Black Sheep Studios. Um, and it's because my brother is a pastor and I hang out at comic book conventions. Um, but there's some other meanings behind it. But I'm uh, I'm the oddball in the family, and I own it, and I'm proud of it, and I have transferred that onto my children. Whether it be a curse or not, I'm not sure, but they are true individuals, and I'm married to a wonderful lady who uh, lets me do what I like to do, lets me draw what I like to draw, and is a very good editor when um, I get into some things, and she's like, maybe you need to change that, or maybe you need to do something different. But I always value her advice. But
Good.
so yeah,
It's always good to have somebody in your life like that who will give you honest criticism,
oh
to,
yeah,
to help you reach your highest potential. So now you're talking about, the moniker Black Sheep is because of your individuality. It's funny that we're in a society now where everybody says embrace your individuality, but you really don't see that so much. If you try to be a true individual, you get hammered.
yeah. Everybody thinks they're being individual, but they look like everybody else. Um,
Right.
God also uh, made it to where I don't look like everybody else. Uh, I'm kind of a big guy, and always have been. So usually at conventions, uh, because I'm a cartoonist and I draw um monsters and cryptids, and I love not 70s Saturday morning cartoons, and
Hmm.
just anything like that. People walk up to my table and go, "Did you draw this?" And they're because of how I look, they're expecting Mongo draw. But
Right.
or if my daughter is sitting next to me, it's like they think it's her stuff and I'm just her dad. But
Right.
no, it's my weird art, and I love it. And now I get to uh, do it with Lafayette Faust at Nevermore Hollows, and which has given me an awesome outlet for my weird imagination. So
Well, we're going to get into that here in a minute, but I wanted to say, your art style is awesome. It's fun. It's unique. And if you're looking at it, you're going to see a lot of your influences come from, like the style of 70s cartoons,
Hmm.
Scooby Doo, things like that. And I love
Right.
it. One of the things I love, and I think you get a lot of comments from folks about this when they see your art, is your use of color. You have a
Yeah.
great eye for color, and especially monochromaticism. I love how sometimes you'll do a green on green or a blue on blue, and it just looks so good.
I've started a series, and I really like doing a picture all in variations of one color, and it's very it's fun, and you can actually, to me, I can see how deep that color can go, or how outside of what, like a green, that you can go and still be in that color, that range. So I've done mostly cryptids. I've done blues, greens, purples, reds.
Hmm.
I'm working on some others, but you got to get the right cryptid to the right color. So it's a little interesting sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, Black Sheep Studios, you do take on commissions
I do.
on occasion. So, I want to make sure that people understand that we would love for them to support your work. Um, you're on Instagram. You can be reached at. Tell us how you can reach us
You
or how
can
you can reach
find
people.
me, of course, on Facebook. I am. You can either look up Chris Goins, or you can look up Black Sheep Studios TN on Facebook, and also on Instagram. It is Black Sheep Studios TN, one word. And I do commissions. I do. I am not a photorealist, and I've been asked to do some photoreal stuff, and it's not not for me. I do cartoon portraits. I've done families
Mhm.
as different. Uh, I did one family as their favorite game characters in a certain game. I have done recently a family as um, um, Dragon Ball characters.
Cool.
Um, I have done a couple who's the lady, her fiance at the time, was a diver and loved everything about that. And his favorite movie was The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I got to she wanted me to do him as the creature and her as the heroine in the movie. And she loved it. I pulled it off, and uh, and she loved it. So yeah, I've done a lot of different commissions over the
And
years.
one of the things I like is your Christmas cards. When you send out Christmas cards, like one year you sent me a Christmas card for your family, and y'all were the Jetsons, and
Yeah.
I mean it was so cool. So what I want everybody to understand is if you want to check out Chris's art, he's got pieces for sale. So check him out,
Oh yeah.
support him that way, and he can do certain commission work. Keep in mind he's busy. He does a lot of commission work, and so there will be some turnaround time there. But and I got to say, I'm hopeful that your star is rising a little bit because as you and I've been together, just over the past year and a half or so, I have seen we'll be at conventions or something, and these other podcasters and cryptid hunters, they're all coming up to you going, dude, I love your art. I want you to make a shirt for us, or I want you to do some art for the show. Probably the biggest right now is Cryptids of the Corn, where you've done a number of shirts for them that they're
Yeah.
selling.
I've been quite fortunate to work with Justin and Jay from Crypt of the Corn. They're awesome guys. I've done some local work, um, and I'm open um, to any commission. Uh, we'll discuss. We can discuss what you want and when I can do it. Um, you know, as long as we both be reasonable, and
Right.
I and keep it clean, folks. Uh,
Right. Okay, so now that's good. All right, so now the people know a little bit about you. So now let's get into. We're still going to go deep with some of the questions here in a minute,
okay.
but you know my real name,
Yep.
and so I guess the question I want to ask is, how do you know Lafayette?
Well, um, my stepsister is the town coroner,
Hmm.
and I moved uh, against her permission. I moved to Nevermore Hollows just to have a nice, quiet place to live and do my art, and quickly found out how wrong I was. Um, but now I am in the inner circle um, that knows all the weird stuff that goes on in town, and I help fight against it, which is, kind of cool, a little weird,
Right.
and dangerous sometimes.
So the cool thing is I guess this will go out. This will be the very next posting that we put out, and it's going to go out on March 24th. So we're going to go ahead and make a little short announcement here while we're in this. We're launching Patreon and Buy Me a Coffee on April 1st.
I think that's appropriate. April 1st.
And in that we're going one of the things that we're offering is an interview with every character in Nevermore Hollows. We've got a couple of them up right now, and there'll be a new interview every month, and we're doing it via this very creative idea of it's a call-in show, kind of like the old Art Bell show.
Yep.
And we've got a new voice actor named John Fike, and he is going to be playing the character Darwin Gallows. And it's going to be the middle of the night. He's sitting at Raven Radio, and he's talking to Mosley and Alyssa and Winona. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is your Chris Madman Goins is going to be interviewed on there about his Nevermore Hollows experience. So
Oh
that's
boy.
exciting. So for you folks who are listening, there's more to come. We're getting ready to drop a promo on what we're doing through Patreon. There's going to be a lot of content, a lot of little extra goodies that we're hoping that you'll go to and support our show so that we can continue to keep this content coming. But so let's get to some truth though. Chris Goins and Alan Wattenbarger, who that
Hmm.
is me. I choose Lafayette Faust as the pen name, but how do you and I go back? Because I want to talk about how did you get involved in Nevermore Hollows. But first, let's go back to our history.
Well, you were friends with uh, my wife uh, long before we were married, and I met you through Tammy, uh, and then we went. We've seen you when you were doing stand up several times, and then we lost track of each other and just so happened to see each other at the grocery store. And you said, "Hey, man, what's going on?" And we were talking. You said, "Hey, I'm doing this podcast. Check it out." So I did, and your writing resonated with me, and I started to see. I can't draw anything unless I see it in my head first. And I
Right.
started to see these characters because of how descriptive you are in your writing, and I started doing sketches. So we saw each other again, and
Yep.
at the grocery store, and you said, "Hey, let's go get some tacos or something sometime." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So we went and met up for tacos, and I said, "Hey, here's some character sketches." Uh, I did, and you're like, "Whoa, I've been
Yeah.
looking for a guy to do artwork for the show. You interested?" And I'm like, "Sure, I'm
Well,
in."
see,
You know.
so I have to tell a different version of this story, okay?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
look, because it's very similar. Our versions are very similar, but brother, I tell you, I remember it so differently because you and I've known each other for 30 years,
Yep.
and and there would be times I wouldn't see you for 7, 8 years, and then, like you say, we would I would see you at a grocery store or something, and we would almost always pick up on wherever we left off 7 years ago in the conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
So my son is an exceptional artist. He's
he
got a
is.
comic book that he publishes, and and he's got his own thing going. I was trying to get him to be my art director, as the trying to position things for when the show takes off. And I was like, I need an art director. I need somebody to help me. And he just came to me. You and I had those meetings at the grocery store where I told
Right,
you, hey,
right.
here's my show, and you still into art? Oh yeah, dude, I'm still into art. And then here's how I remember the story: is my son comes to me and says, "Dad, I love you, man, but I really don't want to be your art director. I'll help when I can, but I've got my own thing I'm working on." Dude, I love it. Okay, you don't hurt my feelings at all, because you're right. You are trying to build your own brand here. So I was driving down the road, going back to the grocery store, and I said, "Man, I was praying about it. I was like, Lord, I need an art director. I know we're super tiny, but now's the time I need an art director." And I walk into the store, and you say, "Hey, dude, I've been listening to your show. Let's go get tacos." You were the one that said, "Let's go get tacos," and then we meet at our favorite taco place here in town, and we're sitting there, and you said, "I want to show you something." And you pulled out these character sketches that you'd been working on. I didn't expect that. I thought we were just going to go get tacos and catch up.
Oh yeah.
And and I knew in that moment that God had woven all things together so that you and I could get together in this. And I remember I excused myself and I went to the restroom and I was like, "What do I do with this?" And I was like, well, hey, I guess he's my art director. I mean, So I come back out, and I said, "How much do I owe you, Chris?" And you said, do you remember what you said to me?
I said, you don't owe me nothing until we're standing at the premiere of the Nevermore Hollows animated movie.
That's right. And I said, "But I feel like I should pay you something." And you said, "I just want in." And I
Yeah.
was like, this dude's heart, he gets it. He understands the show. Your art showed that you understood the character. And I was like, he's in. So just a few weeks ago, well, we've been working together now for a while. You've been doing
Oh
voice
yeah.
work. You've been
Hmm.
helping me with interviews. So just a couple of weeks ago, we made it official that, you're officially part owner of the show. So
Yep.
whatever wherever this crazy thing goes, whether we never make a dime on it or whether we're standing in Hollywood at a premiere, you're co-creator now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm proud of it. Um,
Good.
it's this show is original. This show harkens back to the old radio shows, Inner Sanctum and stuff like that. That before there was television, there were
Hmm.
these suspense filled uh, shows on the radio, and I marvel still at here we are in the 21st century with all the technological wonders that we have, and we call it podcasting, but it's still radio, and
Yes.
it's fun, and
Hmm.
you can, especially with your writing, and I'm not, folks, I'm not trying to push anything. I'm a true fan of Alan's writing. Um, but you can give a story great atmosphere, and you can have characters these characters you've made up that people care about. And I care about these people in this town. Um, and I want to see them do good, and I want to see the villains be punished, and I want to see what happens next. And even though I'm part of it, and I get early bird versions of things, I'm still captivated by what can go on in this town and what we're building. And we're it's amazing that we've collected several like-minded individuals uh,
Right.
who are willing to be part of it and want to make the best. episodes that we possibly can.
Right.
And
And and that's where you came on board and you were clearly a fan, and we've had a lot of folks reach out to me and go, I want to submit a story.
yeah,
And because there's some channels that do that, but the stories that they wanted to submit did not fit anything inside meta. They were just looking for a place to submit a story, and I get that. I'm a creative
right,
too, and I want to put my work out, but that's not what we're doing here. So we had a guy that we met through a series of crazy events, and he's
yeah,
the guy John Fike who will be doing Darwin Gallows for us on our Patreon. And he did his approach to me was very similar to you. So we didn't know him. You and I've known each other, so there was
right,
already a foundation there. But John comes out of nowhere. We meet him at a con, and then he comes to me after. He's a clear fan. He's going deep. He's asking questions about the town. He's asking questions about the characters. And finally, after a few months, he comes to me. He says, "I don't want to overstep anything, but I would like to write a story about set in Nevermore Hollows with the characters." And because his approach was he's a fan, he's a
yep,
writer, he's a creator. It made perfect sense. And so that led to us asking him to take on the role of Darwin Gallows.
right,
Of course, that was kind of his. It was kind of his. It was. We were all three talking at various stages about doing something like that. But when he came on board, he was the kind of the lightning rod that everything. He kind of pulled that idea and that character together.
yep,
So, and again, that's going to be on our Patreon tiers that you can listen to the Darwin Gallo show. But where I'm going with this is, we are trying to do something unique, something special, and we only let people in creators who get it and who
right.
understand it and can help us take the stories to broaden the universe. So if I can transition from there, so now we know how you got involved with Nevermore Hollows. What is your official role?
I am the art director. Uh, I am a voice actor, which I I think's pretty cool. Because I've been doing cartoon voices probably as long as I've been drawing. So this is another fun thing for me to do. Um, I'm a sounding board idea guy. I can carry heavy objects. Uh, you know, I'm so far I'm the taker of the haunted room in the Airbnb that we rented.
Yes.
Uh,
So
and
I've got to expand on that. So we went to Ada, Ohio. That's where we met John Fike, and we went to,
yeah,
of all things, a Bigfoot convention. Okay,
yeah, man.
here we are.
Not
We've
just
got,
a convention. We went to a jamboree.
it was a jamboree. So
Yeah,
I was
man.
thinking, dude, we're not going to make any. Why are we going up here? It's not completely apples to apples. We need to be doing horror and con, dude. That's where we met John.
Oh
My
yeah,
son, he sold a crap ton of comic
yeah.
books. We met a lot of people that have helped us with the show. It was
Uh
it was
huh.
so worth us going up there.
Well, we met a super fan there that we were not
Yeah.
expecting to meet, and this young lady stepped up to you and it's like, "Oh, I've listened to every episode." Da, 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 and that, and then you introduced her to me, and that was the coolest. That that's proof somebody's listening.
Yeah, that was the first time that anybody has come
Yeah,
to us and said, and here's the cool part: we were in Ohio, and
right,
she drove from Oklahoma.
right.
So,
You know,
so
and we
that was
also
cool.
we're going
Go ahead.
back this year, and our good friend Matthew Orton, um, who does the Drunken Cryptids, who also owns a bar in Nevermore Hollows. He's going to
Yep.
be there as a speaker, and so we're bringing, like you said years ago when I first got involved with you, we're going to bring our friends with us,
That's right.
and that's what we're doing. These people who encourage us and we in turn encourage them. We're bringing them with us, and
Yes.
that's another cool thing that I really love about Nevermore Hollows is just the
The community.
yeah, the community. The community is
Yeah.
is awesome, and uh, we do have fans, which I think's pretty amazing.
Right. Because look, yeah, we talked about this. We talked about this on our promo that we shot for the Patreon that'll be coming out in a few days. Yeah, when I started this, I was literally sitting in a corner of my bedroom with the cheapest microphone I could find and in a computer that was like 18 years old, and I said, I'm going to put this story out. And it's so far out there. It's about a demon possessed monkey in a Waffle House. I was like, nobody's going to listen to this, man. Nobody. And you know what? Here's the thing. When I ask two questions. If somebody tells me, hey, man, I really like your show, thank you. Obviously, we love that. But there's two questions I always ask them. I'll go, okay, because I want to know. I want to know what do you like so I can continue to try to give that. What is your favorite character? And without exception, not once have they not said this. They always say the boys.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, the boys, we've discussed this. The boys, in my mind, embody the innocence
Mm-hmm.
that children have, and but they also it's a sense of adventure, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe they are the true heroes of Nevermore.
I
We've
think
got a
so
lot
too.
of good people,
They're
but
the heart. They're the heart of Nevermore.
well, it's nostalgic for me because they embody that hey, let's get on our bikes and what are we going to do today? I don't know, but we're going to get into
Yeah.
something.
Let's
And they
get into
usually
something.
get into
Right.
something. Yeah.
So people always say the boys, and then I say, what is the story? What is the story that hooked you? And without exception, they go, it was Psycho Juju about that
Oh
demon
yeah.
possessed monkey in a Waffle Hut. So that tells me that it worked. It worked, and people get it.
Well, it's you've got the ability to give a story a good twist. Um, and that one, that, that one was completely different. When I listened to it the very first time, when you're like, "Hey, check out my podcast," I was like, "What did I just listen to?" So I went and listened to it again. You know, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, this is different," and
Yeah.
that it's original, and I crave original stuff. Now, um, I have a very hard opinions about certain things, genres of things, but I hate it when they just do a remake, just do a remake. I want put your effort into something original, and Nevermore Hollows is original.
Yeah, and look, I love the fact that you get it because now I'm bouncing ideas off of you. There for a while, it was just me, and then when you came on board, I started going, "Help me flesh out this character," or "I'm stuck in a story. Help me figure out a way out of this story." And I can do that with you because you are deep enough in it, and we have very similar minds.
Oh yeah,
So
oh yeah.
it's easy to do that. So now that gets me to going in a direction I want to take you is with your well first before I ask that question, what story was it that you listened to that made you want to be a part of Nevermore Hollows? And there's a reason for me asking. It's not an egocentric question because it's going to go with how you approach characters. So
Well, of course, Psycho Juju. That was just outrageous and cool and different. Uh, the nubs really got me. I love the atmosphere of it. But the one that I could actually see uh, movies run in my head. So Happy was the one that to me was very cinematic and a twist on the slasher
mhm.
film. a very it's very psychological and different, and then there's some sci-fi aspects in there, and that one was the one that I just really I was like, dang, you know, because they're all good and they're all fun, but that one was just deep,
Okay,
and
when you listen to that and you go, I want to be part of this, and then one of the first things you told me out of the gate was I want to do some voices.
yeah,
So I knew that I needed to do that to help, broaden the horizons of of the characters and give them depth and just take the show to the next level. So with that, because now you've listened to it, you get the characters, you know what we're trying to do, and you put a lot of effort into creating a voice for the characters. And 9 times out of 10, you come to me and you go, here's what I'm thinking with so and so.
right,
And 9 times out of 10, I go, yes. Now there's that one out of 10 that I go, no, that's just not what I hear in my head. But I
right,
try not to pigeonhole you. I try to go, Chris, I try to give you very little, I just let you read the script and
uh
I
huh,
say, run with it. I've given you enough, run with it.
oh
So
yeah,
you take a lot of effort and care into coming up with unique voices. So who is your favorite voice?
well, right now
Yeah.
Cosmos I think is the most fun. The Lamentation Brothers, um, I want to do more with them.
Yeah.
I
So
really do.
those two characters right there, Cosmo. You said, Alan, I've got something I want to do with Cosmo, and it's really out there. And I said, well,
Yeah,
let's hear it. And when you first did it, I was like, man, this is such a well defined character. And I'll tell you, Cosmo for the last few months, Cosmo has been my favorite character to write
yep,
because he's so different and so unique and because I hear him now the way, I had him in my head when I wrote him. I knew he had a certain voice, but I
yeah,
didn't know what that voice was. And now when I write him, I literally hear him in the voice that you came up with. And I'll say this about Otto Lamentation. When you did Otto, I hated it. I hated it. We recorded it. We were standing right here in my house, and we recorded it. And you did it, and I said, I did not want to hurt your feelings. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, that sucks so bad. I hate it. It's terrible. And I said, but well, we're going to run with it. And after you left, I went through and I listened to it in context as I was editing, and I went, it's brilliant, especially that
oh,
little laugh that you do at one point when he does that little laugh because that wasn't in the script, right?
right,
You gave that little weird laugh at that awkward moment, and it was a dark moment. And when he
yeah.
gives that little awkward laugh and nobody laughs back, I went, "That is brilliant! It's brilliant." So I pretty much, because of those two characters right there, Otto and Cosmo, I pretty much give you free reign when it comes to creating character voices.
Well, and I appreciate that. I really do. And you do give good direction. Um, and it's fun because I love, getting a text from you going, "Hey, uh, what about this?" or "Hey, what about that?" or "Hey, I just sent you a story." And I'm a night owl, so I'm up late doing artwork. I'm at my drawing table, and lots of times when the stories that you give me, I will read them out loud, and I will give them voices. I'll work on it actually while I'm reading it, and I'll start reading it in the voice that I think that I'm working on, and that's fun. Of course, now anybody else, maybe that's why I kind of live out in the country. Maybe that's why nobody comes around
Right.
to hear me
I was
talking to
I was
myself.
driving Friday, because I do characters in my head too, and I speak them out loud. I've always done it. And when you told me that you do the same thing, I can imagine we got two middle-aged dudes on different parts of the town riding around. You're doing Cosmo, and I'm doing whatever in my head. I'll drive down the road by myself, and I will be speaking aloud in these character voices, trying to get
Oh
them
yeah.
right.
Well, I mean, it helps. it helps, kind of give it more of a natural feel, and
Hmm.
but yeah, it's of course, there's been times when my wife will come in there and go, "Who you talking to?" I'm like,
My wife does the same thing.
Nobody.
Right. Just the voices in my head, baby girl.
Yeah. I've been married long
So,
enough. She knows.
right. Now, talking about your collaboration and how you started influencing the stories. Um, my style of writing is I don't plot it out. Sometimes I'll have a story that's completely defined in my head. Sometimes it's just a situation like a demon possessed monkey walks into a Waffle House with a clown on a leash. Go, and I just start writing from there, right? So, but what that does is that gets me sometimes stuck in a story, and I do not want to write my. I don't want to. I don't want to go back and fix it. I want to write myself out
All
of the
right.
corner. So I get written, sometimes it takes me a long time to write myself out of these corners. So with you in the universe now, I will call you up or I'll send you a text. I go, I'm stuck. How do I get out of this? And you have influenced the stories in sometimes subtle ways, but sometimes drastic ways. The most recent will be the episode that's coming with Rory and Stevie where they go to a haunted junkyard. I had a new monster that we are putting in there called Bullman, and I had him as an evil character. He was absolutely evil. And you said, "What if he's not evil? What if he's sympathetic?" And I said, "In Nevermore Hollows, we don't have sympathy for the evil or bad characters." And you said, "No, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He's not even paranormal. He's just an unfortunate man. Let's make him a sympathetic character." And because I was taking your advice and I wrote him as a sympathetic character, it changed the story and made it better in a number of ways. But specifically, it gave me an ending line to that story, which we're going to be recording next week and it'll come out in a few weeks. But it gave me an ending line that I was able to say about the boys that clearly summed up. If you want to know who Rory and Stevie are, this line that's coming up at the end of this episode called The Haunted Junkyard, it defines Stevie and Rory in a way that I've been trying to define them for years now, but because you influenced that story, I was able to get there. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that too.
All right,
Uh,
so let's go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
I was going to say we're coming up. We're at like the 30-minute mark, so I've got a couple other questions. Oh, we're over that. So I've got a couple other questions I would like to get to you. Get you to answer
Okay.
before we kind of wrap this up because we'll have another interview with you because there's so much more we can just talk about the creative process for you and me and how it works and all that. But so, what is your favorite art style?
Um, I'm a cartoonist. It always
Yeah.
goes down to that. But yeah, I've got a lot of influences and um, a lot of stuff a lot of artists that I study. But when it comes right down to it, I'm a cartoonist.
So with that, who's your biggest influence?
Oh, my biggest influence is Frank Frazetta, who started out actually as he's a very classically trained was a very classically trained man, but at one point he was a ghost artist for several daily cartoons, um, and famous daily cartoons, and
So that
did
that shocks me because I love Frazetta's art. I never knew he was a cartoonist because you look at his art and it's so real and
oh yeah.
so
But
you know.
if you go back, if you can find some of his funny animal comic books that he did, they're incredible. You can see it's Frazetta art, but it's comic book. It's farm animals talking and doing stuff. He was a ghost artist for uh, Lil Abner,
Oh, I didn't
which
know
is
that.
a famous
Yeah.
cartoon strip. But and then he started doing book covers for
Hmm.
Conan and stuff like that. And then,
That's how
you
I
know,
came to him was with the Conan
oh
stuff.
yeah, I've heard other famous artists say that they would go to the store, buy the book, rip the cover off the paperback book and throw the book away and just keep the cover so they could study Frazetta's art. And I have several books of Frank's stuff, and he is my probably my biggest influence. After that, it's Alex Toth, who
Hmm.
uh, was a character designer for a lot of the Hanna-Barbera adventure cartoons.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, Mike Mignola, who did Hellboy.
I
Um,
love Magnolia. Yeah.
Scotty Young, who did I Hate Fairyland and a lot of other stuff, who's
Hmm.
got a real out there style. But I'm also the animation from the '60s that Disney did, which was very
Hmm.
angular, and I really like um, geometric shapes uh, and angles and the differences between angles and circles, and I love stuff like that in my art. There's a lot of angles in my art, a lot of
Right.
hard bends, but that's just my stuff.
I like it. I love your art. It works so
Oh
well on
well,
so many
thank you.
levels with what we're doing here. So have you? All right. So three more questions. Have you ever
Yeah,
created a comic book?
yes. Um, I've there. I was part of a comic book called Bourbon and Coffee that I did. It was right before I got married, so it's been 30 years ago. And then several years ago, I did a comic book with an artist out of Atlanta called The Adventures of Tampon Man and Applicator Boy.
Oh my goodness! I bet that went
Uh,
over well.
well, most people got the humor. It was not filthy. It was bathroom humor. Um,
Yeah.
but most I when I was doing promoting the book, I had an ash can of it at my table, and most women read it, looked at me, and just started dying laughing when they
Okay. Good.
when they saw the characters, when they saw the designs. And I've only had a few who did not think that was funny, and one lady went at me, and my beautiful wife, who uh, I love dearly and has always been my partner in crime, stepped up and defended me in a situation where if I opened my mouth in any way, shape, or form, it wasn't going to be pretty either way. But she,
Right.
but yeah,
But as an
that's
artist, you get asked sometimes, like I've been asked in the past, I need you to write a script for me, and sometimes those scripts are like that is so far outside my comfort zone, but you do it, and like for you, I can imagine when this guy reached out and said, "Hey, let's do this comic book," you're like, "What am I getting myself into?"
well, I texted him one time. I said, "Do you know how many watch lists I'm on now, just because of the stuff I'm having to look up?" He goes, "Well, heck, I know. I wrote it."
Right.
Um, but that was one that I was like, "We need action figures," and he goes, "No, no." But it was fun, and it was a very good experience to me to show, because I'm getting old, and to show, hey, can I do this? And I
Right.
did it, and I worked a full time day job and came home, um, ate supper, slept for about 30 minutes, and then worked every night till about 1 or 2 in the morning. Got up at 6 and went to work, but I got it done, and so yeah, I can do it. So
Good.
you know, we are wanting to in the future do Nevermore Hollows comics.
Right. You've been already
And
putting some stuff together on that,
yeah,
so very
and
good.
I can see in my weird head, I can see action figures
Of
and
course. Yeah, that'd
animated.
be exciting.
You know, I would love to do a live action show, TV show or movie, but I think the best way we could capture Nevermore is through some very, very good animation. Um,
Yeah.
just for the monsters and the crazy, outrageous characters that we have in the situations that you put them in that causes my head to start pinging out these weird pictures and it's it's fun and that's we do a lot of you talk about good and evil and you talk about a lot of deep things in the show, but at the surface is the fun of an adventure, and that is missing in movies and TV, and right now, a lot of stuff is just I miss a good adventure movie. I miss why is he doing it? I don't know. Why is the
Yeah.
character doing that? I have no idea, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll say Hollywood has lost its way, and we're not the only ones that say that. Everybody,
Right?
you can look at movies now. They're every one of them tanks, one after another. It tanks because they're just regurgitating, and then
Yeah.
then they get desperate and they go, okay, well, I'm going to go back to this IP, and I'm going to try to mine this IP because they like this IP, but then whatever they put out under that IP, it destroys the IP. So
Right.
hopefully, you and I've always talked about, we've got big dreams and big goals with this show, and we love our fans, and we hope that our
Oh,
fans come and support us
tremendously.
through,
Yep.
through Patreon and buy us a coffee and all that. But I'll finish up and I'll ask you this one final question.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, at the end of the day, excuse me, at the end of the day, what do you want to accomplish artistically with Nevermore?
Hmm. Wow. Okay. Um, I want to help create a world, a universe, as it were, um, that it's a nice place to visit, but you don't want to live there. Uh, you
I love
know,
that.
it's nice to step in and go, okay, I'm in, but then be able to step out and go, okay, I could go back to my own bed, and none of this is going to get me. But in Nevermore, it's it's like a layer cake. The stuff on top, the icing on top is very pretty, but when you cut down into it, there's a lot of other stuff going on, and it's just level after level, and and it's again, it's fun. It's we're not trying to save the world. We're just trying to provide something with your writing and my artwork, and then all these other folks that have come in to collaborate, a fun place to hang out and enjoy yourself for a little bit of time before you got to go back to your world and go to work or do whatever you got to do.
And we'll end it on that, man. That is perfect because you and I, when we are looking at creating a new story or a piece of art or whatever it is that's under the Nevermore Hollows brand, we look at it this way. We say, our goal is that we don't want to waste your time because time is valuable. So if you're going to come and hang out in Nevermore Hollows, we want to make sure that you had a good time.
Right. That's it.
All righty. Well, Chris, thank you for telling everybody who you are and let us get to know you a little bit better. And everyone, we will see you on the backside.
See y'all.